A cloud of smoke, suspicion, and undeniable sadness hangs over the sleepy farm town of Maysville, Oklahoma. Parents reeling in grief after the tragic death of their daughter, Sheila Deviney, the popular young mother killed in a fatal fire at her home.
My neighbor had me around the neck because it took all of them to keep me from getting into that house that morning.
This was her Bible that was beside her nightstand, and that was right in the middle of the fire, and it still survived. All of her handwriting and everything that she had, her prayers.
It's ruled an accident by the fire marshal, but Sheila's inconsolable parents, Susan and Dave, cannot believe it.
They kept telling us it was an accident over and over until I was crying. After 6 months, I was crying every day, and Dave couldn't stand living with me. He was tired of listening to me cry.
And then a major break as the case makes a head-spinning 180-degree turn. Reports from the medical examiner and the coroner are in, and they say the fire is far from accidental. They say it's a homicide.
Eventually, you learned there was an accelerant used.
Yes.
Was it found all around the house?
It was all over her body.
The coroner's report shows a presence of highly flammable benzene, a major ingredient in gasoline, and toluene, a solvent found in paint thinner. It's also an essential component of TNT, and it's found on Sheila, in her blood, and in her lungs. Those disturbing discoveries lead her parents to a terrifying conclusion.
You know, Sheila, it appears she was burned alive.
Yes. We found that out.
But what about the fire marshal's original findings? That the fire was likely an accident, triggered by a pot left on a lit stove burner. Well, a full 9 months later, following the autopsy, a stunning reversal on that opinion as well. The new report from the same fire marshal makes it crystal clear, saying, quote, "This was a deliberately set fire and that the manner of death was homicide."
It's bad enough to just be murdered, but then someone to actually set your whole body on fire, that is cruel.
Adding to the family's torment, there are no suspects in the case, and they still wonder, who is the special friend that Sheila said was at her door during the last phone call with her friend Dobby?
Does Dobby have any idea who this special friend was?
If she does, she's never disclosed that information to us.
The Garvin County Sheriff's Department has no comment, and the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation has not gotten back to us. But Susan and Dave have a lot to say about one man they say was no special friend of Sheila's at all, Tyson Hendricks, her ex-husband and father of her 2 children.
Early on, did you think Tyson could have something to do with this?
Most definitely.
Despite her parents' suspicions, Tyson Hendricks has never been named as a suspect in her death. Still, they say Sheila lived in constant fear of Tyson. In fact, they claim less than a week before the fatal fire, Sheila told her mom something that now haunts her.
She told me in the hot tub when Tyson had the kids that weekend, she said, "Mom, you don't know Tyson like I do." And she said, "He's gonna kill me."
And there's a history here. 6 years before her death, Sheila did obtain a permanent restraining order against Hendricks after filing a complaint he was abusing her and the children.
She was very afraid. In the divorce decree, it was stated that when she and Tyson exchanged the children for visitation, that they always met in a public facility with people around.
There is no indication that he ever violated the order, but a work report from the fire marshal's office also details interviews with witnesses, including a woman friend who said that days before the fire, Sheila told her she expected Tyson to go to jail for back child support. And Sheila's brother Davey, who claims Tyson told him he was broke and did not have any money because of what Sheila was doing to him. And then there's the actual day of the fire, when Sheila's sister-in-law, Betty Deviney, says she called Tyson's job to tell him Sheila's house was in flames.
I called his work, and the receptionist lady told me that he had left with his brother that morning and that he was not there. And I said, okay, if he comes back, have him call us. It's very important.
She says Tyson didn't call her back until later that day.
When he called back, he was very livid. He was so mad, and he started yelling at me. "Why are you calling me? Don't call me at my place of employment." So I handed the phone to my mother-in-law, and I said, "Here, I can't deal with him."
According to the fire marshal's report, Tyson claimed that he was at work when he received a call from Susan Deviney telling him about the fire.
Yeah.
Armed with the new findings of homicide, Susan and Dave move ahead on their own. They gather hundreds of signatures to convene a grand jury, and Tyson Hendricks is among those called in to testify. Most of the grand jury report is sealed, but Crime Watch Daily has obtained some of the results, showing the grand jury, quote, received evidence concerning several persons of interest, examined 30 witnesses, and returned no indictments.
No indictment.
No indictment, but a further investigation should be done.
Susan and Dave say they have spent over $100,000 of their savings in the campaign to get justice for Sheila, and now they are reduced to seeking the only help they can afford.
We started watching crime shows and see how they solved them. And we realized that if it was going to be solved, we had to do it ourselves because nobody was going to help us.
But help is on the way. Next, he suffered a few setbacks of his own halfway across the world.
You were wounded in Afghanistan?
My vehicle was struck by an IED.
But this decorated veteran turned private investigator is now walking point on Sheila's arson and murder case.
We were able to find stuff that we didn't even know existed.
Hey, Tyson. Hi, I'm Michelle Sigona from Crime Watch Daily.
And we tracked down Tyson Hendricks to get his side of the story.
So did you have anything to do with the death of Sheila?
I was able to get a report that outlined actual statements taken from people connected to it that the Devineys were never aware of.